I'm just waiting for a few more viewers and I'll start this live. Hello? I'm just going to try and reduce the background noise. Sorry about that. Okay, so I think that's the best I can do. So if you've got any problems with hearing me, just drop a message and I'll see what I can do. But I think I'll just get started now. And you can help me out by sharing, like, and also dropping some likes so I can get a few more viewers in. So these videos will also be available on YouTube as well as TikTok live, so you can watch on YouTube live or also TikTok live. And if you've missed the video, you can also find the YouTube video live saved as video on my YouTube channel, which is Rizbit on YouTube. So if you just search for @Rizbit on YouTube, you'll find my channel. Don't forget to subscribe to it so you can watch all the other videos as well. So in this video, I'm going to ask the question, answer the question, alright? What language does Game Maker Studio 2 use? So what you're looking at now on the screen is Game Maker Studio version 2. So this is the latest version of Game Maker Studio. And this is how it's laid out on the screen when you first open it. So you've got your menu, you've got your quick access icon at the top. Okay, so what Game Maker is, it's a cross-platform game and app development tool. It's primarily used for making games, and it's been around for many years now. So it started off as a Windows only development tool. It's now developed more and it's more advanced, so you can make Android games, you can make iPhone games, you can make Windows games, HTML5 games, and also games for Xbox and Amazon Fire. So it's quite versatile because you only need to write one set of code, and then you can then add a few customizations and export it to different platforms. So you can use the same game code for an Android game and an iPhone game. Just add a few customizations, just work on your extensions and just export them. So if you're new to Game Maker language, which is GML, there is an online help website. So you go to manual.yoyogames.com. All the information is there. So you've got your different sections: introduction, start page, asset browser, the quick start guide, and it also tells you a bit more about the Game Maker language. So what you can do, if you're just learning programming, finding it hard to code in GML, finding it too advanced, you've got the option to use a drag and drop method of development, which is very simple. So all you do then is you just drag and drop different elements. So this is all Game Maker language, but you've got the option of drag and drop when you create a new game. So this is how the drag and drop looks. You get a visual representation of the commands and the syntax. So it's like a flow chart. Because I've been using Game Maker language for a few years now, I use the Game Maker language. So we just go back to the Game Maker language, which is the GML code. You can read about it here. So just like any other language, you've got your conditions, you've got your built-in functions, built-in constants, and different methods. So what I'm going to do now is, this is a game I've been and developing. It's called AI Captain. And it's a simple platform game. So I'm going to add a new function to this game, and I'm going to show you how to do it and also how it will work. So at the moment we've got this game, so I'll just press play. So we're controlling the player using the keyboard, and we've coded in the jumping, the enemy AI, and also firing and the game over event. So we can press spacebar to shoot bullets. And the problem with this is that we can get shot off the screen, so we're going to write a script to We're going to write a script to destroy the bullets when they go out of the screen, because at the moment they'll only get destroyed when they go out of the room. But as you can see here, the room is actually bigger than the view. So this is what the place is, and this is the actual room itself. So the room is bigger than the view. So we need to consider that when we're destroying objects. So if you go to our bullet object, which should be somewhere here, that is. So this is our bullet object, and we've got an event there which is outside room, and we've got our game maker language code which is instance destroy. Now if you want to get information about any game maker language function, you just copy it, or you right click on it and then click on keyword help or press F1. So if you go back to our manual now, we should be able to find help on it somewhere. Okay, so here it is. So if you go in the top search here and just paste in instance destroy, press enter, it's going to give us information about how to use it and the right syntax to use and all the arguments that you need to give it. So instance destroy is simply used to destroy an instance of an object. So you can simply call it from any of its events, and you can also pass it different arguments here. So you can destroy a specific object. This will destroy all instances of the object bullet. This will destroy other in a collision event. And you can also use it on its own. When used on its own, it will destroy the object or the instance that calls it. So this is a manual. You've got an A to Z list of all the functions. So it's going to go back to our game. So in Game Maker Studio, you've got scripts here. Before, in the previous versions, scripts were used to create functions, different functions that you could simply reference. However, now they've changed it, so scripts are just like files which can have multiple functions. So you could write several different functions in each script. And we can use these scripts in the asset browser just to kind of like group up different kind of functions. So we can create a new script here, and then we'll give it a name which is scr underscore view. Now this is just a script name, but it's automatically created a function scr view here. But what you can do in each script is you can define as many functions in each script. So this script is now just like a placeholder or a file, which makes it easier to find all these different functions. So in str view, we're gonna have all our functions that manipulate or do something to the view in the game. So let's write our first function. Our first function is going to check if an object's x and y position is within the view of the game window. So this is the viewport, and this is what's going to be shown in the game window. So if any object, specifically the bullet, goes out of the view, we'll then try and destroy or do something to it. So we'll call this function in view, and it's going to return a true or false value. So it's a boolean value, and it's going to have two arguments. First is going to be x and the second is going to be y, but because x and y are built-in kind of variables, so we'll have to use something else. So we'll use object x and object y. So obj x and obj y. If you need help on creating functions, again, you just go back to the manual, type in function or functions, and it's got it's got a help file there, so you can read up on how to use it. So when you're creating a function, you have to give it a name followed by brackets and then any arguments that you're going to use. You can also give each variable an optional default value. So in this function here, you've got function move, so the function is called move. The first argument that it needs is spd. The second argument it needs is dir, but it's optional because you've already set default value. So if you just give it one argument, it will take the value of dir as 90, which is a default value. So in ours we'll need two arguments, the object x and object y. You can make it more versatile by actually giving it an object ID as well. So now we've got three arguments, object x, object y, and obj. So in order to check the position and make sure it's within the view, we need to use the camera functions, the camera get functions. So we've already used these somewhere, so I'm just gonna find it. See the game over object. So in the game over object, we're using camera get x and the camera get width. So we'll just copy these, make it easier. Okay, so in order to make sure that it's within the view, we can make sure that it's greater than the camera x. So if you look at this here, this is the viewport, the camera x is here. That's the camera width. In our case, we've actually defined the camera width as 720, but we can get the real-time value of it via code. And this is the Y position, and this is the the height of the camera. So all we're going to do now is just going to use simple conditions, which is just the if commands, and check whether the X or Y is within the boundaries of the camera. So let's just check the X value. So we're going to check it against the X value of the camera. So if the object's X position is less than the X position of the camera, then we're going to return false, because it's not in the view, because our function is called in view. This is going to be out of view. And we've got 3 other checks to make. Now, because we've got a third argument here, we can just use obj and put dot there. So it's going to check the objx value of obj, but I'm not 100% sure that's going to work. So I'll just leave that out for now because it might not actually work. I think this might work. So if we just use one argument, passing the object that we want to check is in the view, this might make it much easier. So now we'll just reference the object index or the instance index and then just check its X value. So we just put obj.x. So we're just going to copy and paste this 4 times now, and then change the last 2 to Y because we need to check the Y position as well. Okay, so if the X position of the object is less than the X position of the camera, it's out of view, so return false. The other the other option or the other possibility could be that the X position is greater than the view, so we need to check this as well. So we've got the X position of camera 0, and we'll then add the width of the camera, and we'll just put it in brackets to make it neat. So if the X position of the object is greater than the X position of the camera plus the camera's width, then again we're going to return false because it's out of view. Now the same with the Y position, we're going to check it against the camera's Y position. So we'll just copy this, paste it there. So if the Y position is less than the camera's Y position, again it's going to be out of view. And then the other thing is check it against the height of the camera. So we'll just copy what we did before, put it in brackets, change that to greater. So if the object's Y position is greater than the camera's Y position plus the camera's height, then again it's out of view, so we can return false. If we've checked all those and it's all within the view, then we're going to return true, which means that the object is actually in the view. So this is our second function, the SCR view. So this is for testing purposes, so we're just going to put something like show message async testing. Now how we would use this is we could actually just sort of call this function as though it was a built-in function by using its name and passing in an object ID. So we go to our bullet objects, and at the moment we've got a check for outside room and it will destroy the instance, but we're going to create a step event and go to end step, and here we're going to use our function that we just wrote. So if I put if not in view and give it its own ID, then again we'll just destroy the object. And we're going to copy the same thing for the enemy bullets. And we're also going to put it in the enemy object to make sure that you only shoots bullets when it's in the view. So we'll go on the step event and go in the code where it shoots. So now this code here will only get executed if the object is in view. So we're just going to test this now. So that works. we're just going to test to see if this function works in our script. Go to content object and add a new event. Key pressed. Digits 1. And we'll just call it here. Just press 1. So that works. Now I'm going to show you how to use snippets. So you press right mouse button, code snippets, and these are the most common used codes. So this is the basic if and else. If a condition is true, it'll execute the code here, or you've got an else in brackets. That's fairly standard for most programming languages. The next is a for loop. So you can use define a local variable such as I, and then use it in your for loop. So I equals naught, condition is I is less than 10, and the increment is I plus equals 1. Then you could use a value of I such as x plus equals I. So you can test this in our game actually. I'll put it in the create event. So you just put x is less than 100. Sorry, x and not x, y. For I equals 0, I is less than 100, I plus equals 1. And then x plus equals I. So this should move the x position to the right by 100 pixels. So let's just try it. You can just put a code here for testing purposes. So every time the player lands, it's going to move 100 pixels. And let's try this. So that works. Okay, so the other code snippets are for loop, got a while loop. So while a condition is true, it will execute the code here. For example, if the player Y position is less than 100, we can just increase the Y position. Minus equals 1. So this is a simple while loop. So this will actually hang the game. So until there's an exit from here, all the other code will like not get accessed. So it's just going to execute all this code until this condition is true. And the next is do until loop. So this is very similar to a while loop, but we're using the do until. So it's gonna execute all the code here until this condition is true. So we could do the same thing. A repeat is similar to a do or a while loop. However, you can set the maximum number of times to repeat something. So you could put repeat 10. So it's going to repeat something 10 times. Whatever code you put in here is going to repeat it 10 times. So you could create 10 bullet objects. Using this code here. So if the user press fire, they have some kind of like power up, you could then create 10 bullets using this. The next one's a bit more difficult. One is switch command. In some programming languages, this is called select. So we have a switch without expression and all the cases. You can have as many cases as you want. You just define the constant value there. So our expression could be something like the player's health, and the constant would be the health value. So we could like have different values of health, like 100. And then we could have like 25. So each time the player got hit by a bullet, we could use this switch command to run some code based on the value of health. So if the value of health was 100, we could just put health minus equals 25. However, if the health was already 25, we could put something like game over. Which would be a function. So what we could do now is we could copy this and then make a new script and call it something like common functions. And we'll give our function a name here, which is game over. And what that will do, it will just create the game over splash that we've created before. So let's just try and find it. So instead of having to write all this over and over again, we could just call one function. So here we just put game over. So in this switch function here, test for the health. If the health is 25, we can decrease the health by 25, which would make it 0, and then we can run the game over. Now the default is just accommodating any kind of constant value that we haven't accounted for. So we've only accounted for 100 and 25. If we get any value of health that's not 100 or 25, we could run code here, but this is like not commonly used by myself anyway, so I'll just remove that. We've got very specific constants, 100 and 25. And we could actually use this in our game now. So if you go to our player object, we've got a collision detection event with the enemy's bullet here. Now in our case, we were doing the game over, which is in alarm 1. We were only allowing it to get hit by a bullet once. So what we can do now is allow it to get hit by a bullet 3 or 4 times. So the way we do that is we set the health at the start of the game, 200. And then in our collision event with the bullet, we can add the switch function that we've used. The other thing with GameMake language is sometimes it doesn't indent it properly, so I like to indent it myself, so it's better looking, easier to follow. Okay, so in our case, if we get hit by a bullet, we're gonna decrease the health by 25, and when it reaches 0, then it's gonna be game over. So we're gonna put all the game over code here. Now in this case, we won't need to test for visibility here. But we'll just leave it in. So when get collision event with the bullet, we make the player object invisible, so it's like dead here. But now we're going to allow it to get hit by the bullet 4 times, because the health starts at 100. And we're going to decrease it by 25. So in this case now we can actually use the default. So we right click, code snippets, switch. You can copy this default section here. Okay, so now if the health is anything except 25, because 25 is a very minimum amount of health, because if you've got 25 health, you're basically going to die if you get hit by a bullet. In all of the cases, if you hit by a bullet, we're just going to decrease by 25. So our health is only going down each time by 25. So this switch statement would only work if health is being decreased by 25 each time. If it's not, then the best thing would be to use an if condition, if or else. You can also add a condition here where we want to decrease health by 25 if it's greater or equal to 25. Just make it greater. So here we're going to account for a constant value of health for 25. Anything else goes in here, and we check if the health is greater than 25. If it is, then we decrease the health by 25. So let's just check it this way. So this should allow us to get hit by a bullet 4 times. So what this is a error dialog, and it's showing us the GML GameMaker language code so that we can identify and fix the problem. So this error is occurring in the create event of object undefined. Alright, so this is just errors from our script here. So this is just all these functions that we wrote here for just for testing purposes. Okay, so let's just see if we can get hit by a bullet 4 times. That's 1, 2, 3. So if we get shot 1 more time now, we should die. So it's worked, but it's not showing us the game over splash screen. Let's figure out why that is. Just made it invisible, visible 0. We haven't actually put in the code here, forgot to do that, so hopefully we can find that code. Hopefully we can just press undo here. Yeah, so there you go. So we need to put that code into the game over script. There we go. So that's what was stopping it. One, two, three, 4. Okay, so that works. One, two. Okay, so it does work. We just need to replace all of these with these now. So this game over function it just makes it easier to create that splash screen, which is the game over object. So instead of having to write all this out, we just put game over. So we go into our player object, or is an enemy object. When it collides with our player, we can just replace all this code with game over. Just makes it easier. And I think there is one more place. Now there's an easier way to find code in the game, and I'm just going to show you how to do it. So if you want to find this code anywhere in our game, in any object or script, we could just copy it like this. Click on the edit menu and then search and replace, and then paste it in the search text box here and press find all. So you can see that we've got it in our common functions here. So they've all been replaced. I'm just going to quickly add something to the game, which is when the bullets collide with our objects, with our solid objects, we're going to create a simple effect using code. So first is the normal bullet. We're going to add a new event, which is a collision with our ground object. Now our ground object is a parent object for ground half as well, so all we need to do is select ground objects, and this will collide with any kind of object which is a child of it. So in here we can just put instance destroy. This will destroy the bullet, saving it from going off the screen or through the walls or through the ground. And then just create a little effect. Which is going to be this one here, effect create above. Okay, so let's find the right one. So here it is. We'll create a little firework. We'll create a very small one, which is going to be 0. Let's just find out what values we can use. So if we go back to our online manual, for the Game Maker manual, we just paste in effect create above, just to find out what kind of arguments we can use. So this is effect create above. It tells you all the different kind of effects you can create. So you've got cloud, eclipses, explosions, fireworks, flares, smoke. You can also create snow effect. And these are all the values you can take. So you've got kind, X, Y, size and color. So we need to know what size values we can take. So if we try going up, it tells us that we can use 0, 1 or 2, 2 being the largest and 0 being the smallest. So let's just create a little effect when the bullet hits the ground, and we're going to change the effect to an explosion. So we're going to change firework to an explosion, and we'll just leave it at 1 and change the color to like brown or something. So these are built-in color constants starting with C underscore. So we haven't got brown So we'll just try something similar to it, which is maroon. Okay, so now when the bullet collides with a solid ground object, it's going to create an effect of type explosion at the X and Y position of the collision of the bullet of maroon color, and then it's going to destroy the bullet. We're also going to copy this into our E bullet, which is the enemy's bullet. Add a new event, collision objects, ground object. So this is the solid ground object you see in the game, which is this here. So when the bullet hits that, or the enemy's bullet hits that, it's going to destroy the bullet and create a little effect. Okay, so I'm just going to rearrange the room one slightly so we can test this out. Okay, let's just play it now. I can't jump onto it because the ledge is too high. I'm going to see if I can change that. So that works. So as you can see, the enemy is trying to shoot us through the block, but the bullets hitting the wall, and then it's stopping. So that's our explosion effect. But it doesn't seem to work, or does work. Right, okay. So in this live demonstration, the last thing I'm going to do now is I'm just going to finish up the code snippets, and I'm going to add a health bar to show you how much health you got. So we go back to our script. So we've gone through the if, while, for, do, and repeat snippet codes. So we've got a few more, which is with and line comment, just do with. Now the with is very useful because you can execute code inside a different object instance just by referencing its name here. So you could call this, you could put this command in a plain object, but you could execute it in the enemy object, which is enemy. And you put something like x or y minus equals 100. You could also use the word other. So what we're going to do is we're just going to copy that. Let's just comment out these. And let's just go to our enemy. And now every time our enemy gets hit by a bullet, we've already got the health going down at 25, but we're also going to make it jump a bit up in the air. So we can't use the word enemy because enemy refers to every single object. So you've got one enemy there, so it would make them all jump. So we're going to reference it by its ID. I mean, in this particular case, you wouldn't even need to use the with command because you're already inside the particular instance. So this is just for testing purposes. So every time it gets hit by a bullet, it's going to jump up by 100. Oops. So it does work. Okay, so that works. Just go back to our script. Multi-line comments are you just create a section where you can put comments for your reference purposes. I'm not really sure what a region is, so we just go to our manual and click on enter region there, and it will tell us what regions are. It's not really in there, so just leave that off for now. Okay, so with GameMaker, it's got its own built-in kind of function to draw health bars, so you could draw a health bar using a function, the draw function. So you've got a draw health bar function here. Now if you click inside the brackets, it tells you all the arguments you need. So you've got quite a lot of arguments now. I've got x, y, amount, back color, main call, max call, direction, show back, and show border. So we're going to draw a health bar to represent the health of the player, and we're going to draw it on the screen in the view. So if we go to our count object, we're going to add a new event, which is a draw event, and we're going to draw a health bar here. So adding a new workspace, so this will have different windows in it. You can minimize that. We're just going to move our common functions to here. So I'm going to put all my scripts into this workspace. This makes it easy to find things. So we're going to need the camera X position to draw our health bar. So the X position is going to be the view of the camera, the X position of the camera, and we're going to add 50 pixels to it. And then the Y position is going to be the Y position of the camera, we're going to add 50 pixels to it. Now we're going to set the width using for the X2 and Y2. So we just use the camera X position again. To make this easier, we can use variables like var cam X and cam Y, and then set the value here. So cam X equals and cam Y equals that. So that's the camera's X position, that's the camera's Y position. Just make it easier for drawing the health bar. Cam X plus 50, cam Y plus 50. Now it's X2. X2 is basically like the width. So we can do cam X plus 50 and then plus the actual width. So we can put something like 200, and then the cam Y is the height. Now cam Y plus 50 plus is basically the height. So we want a height of maybe 50 pixels. Next is the amount. The amount is basically what variable we're going to use to draw the health bar. So we're using the player one, player's health. So we write player and then dot. So we can then reference the local variable, which is health. The back color we could just put black. Min color is basically when the health is reducing. So as the health starts getting closer to 0, we can make it red to kind of alert the user. When it's at maximum health, we're going to put green or lime. The direction is the kind of direction that health reduces to. So I think we can put 0. The show back is whether you want to see the background, back color, and the border is the top border. So this should basically work. Let's just try it out. Hasn't worked because we haven't set the player's health. Strange. We have set the health here. Okay, maybe it's because this health is a built-in variable. so it's not really assigned locally. So we go back to our cont. Even though the health is for the player object, it's got a global scope and it's a built-in variable. So we could just put health, and that should work. You could actually set your own variable. It doesn't have to be health. So you could put something like health 2, and then make sure you define that variable, or something like lives or player.energy. We'll just put health. So you can see the health bar there. So we're going to make it smaller, and we're going to move it higher up and make it a bit longer. So we know that our viewport is 720 pixels wide and 400 high, so we can make our health bar smaller. So we'll just put 10, make the height of it 20, and give it a width of 10. We'll get the width of the camera and we'll just take 10 off it. So if we go to our thing here, we've got camera view, camera get a view of camera 0. So this is the width of the view. And then we're just going to knock off 10. Let's try that. I'm just going to reposition it. So it's on the bottom, so I'm going to try and position it so it's out of the way. And the camera get height, which is there. So the X is going to be the camera get view X plus camera get view height, and then we're going to move it up by about 50. We have to accommodate for the fact that we moved it in 10 pixels. Oh wait, that's wrong. Now the other thing we can do is we can also make it transparent. So the way we do that is we put draw set alpha. This changes the opacity, so we could put 0.6, and then we have to reset it back to 1 after we've drawn what we want to draw. So we put draw set alpha 1. So we've moved the health bar into a nice position there. I'm just going to move it down a bit more and then it's going to look right. Change the alpha to something like 0.4, and then let's test it to see if it works. see our health's gone down. So you can see the health bar's gone red now, which means that we're on 25. We've got a health of 25. So one more touch with the bully and we should die. There you go. I'm just going to move it up a bit more. 40. So that's basically our health bar, showing us how much health we've got left. So that's positioned really well now at the bottom of the screen. So you can see the health moving down as we get shot. Okay, so that's going to be the end of this live on this video. So I've just gone a bit into what GameMaker language is. The abbreviation is GML, and it's basically similar to other programming languages in terms of its basic syntax, and it's kind of like condition checking, like if and do loops and for loops. And I've also showed you how to use the online manual in order to find out what functions they are and what arguments each function needs. I've also shown how to use the scripts to basically group together different kind of functions. Okay, so thanks for watching. If you could subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is Rizbit, and also like and follow on TikTok.